Sometimes parents walk away from a conversation and think, why did I react like that? Maybe it was a message that felt sharper than expected. Maybe it was a last-minute schedule change. Or maybe it was something small that suddenly felt overwhelming. In those moments, it is easy to conclude that the reaction was too strong, that you overreacted. But often, something else is happening. You are not overreacting. You are overwhelmed. When parenting situations involve tension, unpredictability, or constant adjustments, the emotional load builds quietly over time. Each message, each schedule change, each moment of uncertainty requires your brain to process and respond. Most parents do not notice the accumulation while it is happening. They simply keep adapting. But eventually, the nervous system reaches a point where even a small situation can trigger a larger reaction. This does not mean the reaction is irrational. It means the system has been carrying pressure for a long time. Here's why that matters. When people interpret overwhelm as overreaction, they often begin judging themselves. They tell themselves they should be calmer or more patient. That self-criticism adds another layer of pressure to a system that is already under strain. Understanding the difference between overreaction and overwhelm changes how you approach the situation. An overreaction suggests the response is disproportionate to the moment. Overwhelm, on the other hand, suggests that the moment is connected to many smaller pressures that came before it. This pattern is especially common in parenting situations that require ongoing emotional discipline. You might be regulating your tone during conversations, managing schedules carefully, and thinking ahead about potential misunderstandings. Each of those actions requires attention and self-control. Over time, that effort becomes mentally exhausting. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you receive a message that asks for a schedule adjustment with very little notice. On the surface, it may seem like a small logistical change. But your brain immediately begins processing several things at once. You may be thinking about your own plans, the child's routine, previous schedule changes, and how the conversation might unfold. All of that processing happens quickly. If similar situations have happened many times before, your nervous system may already be carrying tension before you even reply. That accumulated tension can make the moment feel heavier than it appears from the outside. Here's where structure becomes important. When parents rely only on emotional reactions, every situation feels like a new problem that must be solved in real time. But when systems and boundaries are clear, the decision-making process becomes simpler. For example, instead of debating each schedule change individually, you might rely on a consistent guideline. Requests require a certain amount of notice. Communication happens through clear, short messages. Plans follow predictable routines whenever possible. Those systems reduce the number of decisions you must make in the moment. Reducing decisions reduces emotional strain. Another helpful shift is recognizing early signals of overwhelm before they reach a breaking point. You might notice that messages start feeling heavier than usual, or that small inconveniences trigger frustration more quickly. Those signals are not failures. They are indicators that the system needs recovery time. Short breaks, calm routines, and predictable communication patterns allow the nervous system to reset. Without those resets, pressure continues to accumulate. It is also helpful to separate logistical problems from emotional interpretation. Sometimes the difficulty of a situation comes from the meaning we attach to it. A schedule change may feel like disrespect or disregard. But if the response focuses only on the logistical adjustment, the emotional intensity often decreases. For example, responding with a short, structured message keeps the conversation contained. Clear communication limits the amount of emotional processing required in the moment. Over time, those small adjustments reduce the overall load on your nervous system. That is the goal of steady parenting. Not perfection. Not controlling every situation, but creating enough structure that emotional pressure does not constantly accumulate. When parents operate with clarity and calm systems, moments of overwhelm become less frequent. And when they do occur, they are easier to recognize and manage. So if you have ever looked back at a moment and wondered whether you overreacted, it may be worth asking a different question. Was that reaction really about that moment? Or was it the result of many small pressures that had been building quietly over time? Understanding that difference can change how you approach both the situation and yourself. Instead of judgment, you begin focusing on structure, clarity, and recovery. Those are the foundations of steady parenting. If this perspective resonates with you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you do not miss upcoming videos where we continue building calm, structured approaches to co-parenting. Steadiness is not automatic. It is something parents design intentionally over time.